So I'm delighted this morning to be with Suzi Carter, who's going to join us in about 4 days. It depends when you're listening to this, of course. It's Tuesday, the 9th of February. Morning event is 9:30, so I can have a bit of a sleep-in. Jacket probably works a little bit harder than me. He wanted it just after 8 o'clock, but it's definitely 9:30. Suzi, it's just a quick, short video, but it's really important time as well, pivotal time. So Debenhams took the news, I think about 10 days ago, maybe about 10 days ago. It was a Monday, I think, when it broke, about, I think it's called Boohoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly don't go online to buy and shop very often. So for me, I prefer the traditional method, but that doesn't matter. It's what the market demands. And now I think it's Top Man, Top Shop, similar position as well. So from my understanding, they haven't taken over the stores, but they've taken over, is it the name, the email list, and so forth. So what is the future of the stores? Is there an opportunity for SMEs? And is it just commercial to resi, or is it commercial and stay commercial?
Morning, Brendan. Yeah, well, I mean, there's going to be a lot of property owners scratching their heads at the moment and doing lots of feasibility studies. So there is obviously a potential that other brands will snap up the stores. You know, that is a potential, but it would be pretty punchy at the moment, I would say, given the trading environment and, well, or non-trading environment for stores to do that. So yeah, I mean, I think commercial to resi is an obvious one, but it doesn't work everywhere. As you know, the average house price, the average flat price has got to be high enough to justify the conversion costs. So, the Debenhams in Staines is going to residential. In Guildford, the Debenhams is going to be residential as well. Big flat schemes. So that, there'll be.
Suzi, sorry, my ignorance, but that's very quick.
Yeah, well, I think those two stores, I know Guildford definitely were on the early closing list for Debenhams, so they weren't part of the administration necessarily. They announced store closures prior to this to try and save the brand. So, and they're obvious ones. The Guildford one I know very well. It's right by the river, so it's a pretty obvious flat scheme. But yeah, I mean, others across the country, there's definitely it's going to be more difficult. I think there's going to be a lot of thinking outside the box. Is health going to be a potential? Hospital type health centres. There's definitely going to be mixed use without a shadow of a doubt.
It's interesting you mentioned health, because I was on Clubhouse. I've experimented and listened to one which was more about Joe Wicks and personal fitness trainers who were discussing, will we ever go back to the situation it was of gyms being open, or will people just stay at home and get used to online? I'm not online exercise whatsoever, but some people have moved into that Joe Wicks fan club as well. So I from my understanding, and Will, apologies if I've got this wrong, but Will was involved in acquisition for Coast Space, I believe, in Reading. It was, I think, a former department store as well. So apologies if I've got that wrong, but I think I've got that right. People still seem to be, and this is my view listening to Clubhouse recently a lot, or maybe being persuaded, that office is here to stay. Do you think some of it could be I was going to say co-living, but co-working I should be using?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's difficult sitting here today imagining what our town centres will look like in 5 to 10 years. But I think that they're going to be completely different places than they are today. If you think about where they used to be before they became kind of identikit high streets, they used to be places where people lived, they shopped, they worked, they played. And I think we will evolve back to that, that I think people will move back into centres. I think that urban design will be important, because I do think people will want to be near parks and open space as well. So I think that that's going to have to be included. So, for example, if you put a light well in the, or a quad in the middle of a, you know, of a building, so that at least there's some green space, or, you know, some gardens or whatever. So I think urban planning and urban design is going to be really important, but I definitely think that the town centres that we know today will be very different in a few years' time.
Okay, so just to reiterate what you said a couple of moments ago, last comment, and then it's going to be Tuesday the 9th of February. So Debenhams, Guildford, and I think you mentioned one other location, have been turned into residential. I think you mentioned flats for Guildford. And of course, that may be a trend for other Debenhams as well, and other department stores. In terms of going forward, in terms of department stores and how the retail landscape is changing, what do you think people should be aware of, apart from, of course, being up to date with key information?
Yeah, so I put something on Facebook recently, actually, because I think that so firstly, I think that retail is not dead. I think that because rents are dropping, I think that a lot of independents will be able to pile back onto our high streets now. And, you know, already I know, sorry, that was that was a computer. Already, I know that shopping centre owners are encouraging independents to move into their shopping centres. So out of times like this comes innovation, comes entrepreneurialism. So I'm definitely sure there'll be some lovely niche retailing, some independent retailers that will have the capacity to locate on high streets now, because rents are lower. We need business rates to the regime to change to really bring that trend in. In terms of developers and investors, obviously there's a whole raft of permitted development rights now. So, you know, there's definitely some great opportunities, and I'm fully expecting the government to authorise the Class E to residential planning when it's announced shortly.
So sorry, Suzi.
Sorry,
I was
Brendan.
going to say, in terms of planning, it's great that we've got Peter. Hopefully, I got his surname right. Higginbottom. So he's from Planning Insight. So he's been on the panel a number of times. So, any final words before I come to an end?
Well, I think that you have to kind of look at these pivotal times. We'll probably look back at this as a pivotal time in history, and I genuinely think there's going to be so much opportunity for investors and in developers going forwards. But I do think, and it's a topic I'm really passionate about, and maybe we can talk about it more on Tuesday, but I do think that it's a time for really niching your strategies. It's a time for reading trends, because the world is changing. And it's a time to, you know, really be laser focused on one or two strategies, and basically clean up, I think, if you do that. But I think if you try and be the master of many things, I think that's when a lot of, you know, a lot of problems will occur, because, you know, every sector is responding differently to these economic conditions. So
Sure.
I think niching is the way to go, for sure.
And some sectors, such as industrial, haven't been hit as much, and in fact some parts of industrial have actually done well. Yeah. Suzi, we're going to come to an end for the moment, so just massive thanks for being on board. People can reach you through Facebook. You're also on Clubhouse as well, and LinkedIn, so some key ways to connect with you.